Hello guys, this is your boy King Swinga and welcome back once again to another video on my YouTube channel. As always, if you are new here and you're looking to improve as a forex trader, I recommend you like this video, subscribe to the channel and turn on the bell notification so that when I post educative content like this, you will be notified as fast as possible. And in this video, I want us to talk about the COT data reports, the commitment of traders. I will show you where you can get a commitment of traders report and how you can also implement it in your trading so that you can also get a little bit of an edge whenever you are trading in the financial market. So let's first start by explaining the meaning of the COT data report. Now, the COT data report is a weekly chart report that represents the total long and short positions held by the commercial, non-commercial, and non-reportable traders whose goal is to determine the overall direction of the market. Now, I said we have the commercial, non-commercials, and non-reportable. Now, the commercials are the large multinational corporations, the big banks. We have the non-commercials to be the large speculators in the market who trade a specific feature market. We have the non-reportable to be the retail traders and the leverage players. Okay, and this report is released every Friday, or let's say it's updated every Friday, exactly 9 p.m. So I'm recording this video on Friday. So exactly 9 p.m. today, the report will be updated, and I'll get to see how the big banks and the largest speculators in the market, they were positioning themselves on all the currencies and all the metals. I mean all the commodities and everything you can trade in the market. You see how the big banks and the biggest speculators in the market, how they are shifting their positions, and you will also get to trade alongside with them. You understand what I'm trying to say? So the website I get my COT data report is the Trading Star. I mean, there are so many websites around where you can get your COT data report every week, but these are websites I actually fall in love with because it's very easy for me to just find my way around it. You can easily find all your currencies, all your stock index, all your treasures. I mean, energies, metals. You can find everything around here. And every Friday, I just come on this website to see what actually transpired within the week. Did the big banks add more longs, or did they add more shorts, or are they closing more longs and add more shorts? I mean, you get to see how the big banks are behaving on the financial market, so that you, being a retail trader, you also trade alongside with them. So the COT data report is a very essential piece. Ever since I came across COT data reports, I mean, I feel a little bit more confident whenever I'm going to the trade, because I know that okay, this is how the big banks are behaving, so that I also trade alongside with them. But before we go deeper, one thing I also like to put across is you can't just start and you can't just because you can see that the big banks are let's assume they are closing more longs and adding more shorts on the AUD pair. You immediately go to the any AUD pair and start shorting or anything of that sort. You only use the COT data report as a confluence or as a confirmation to your trading setup. So you can't just be trading off the COT data report alone. Okay, I don't know if there are some people out there who are trading off the COT data report alone, but from my experience so far, if you want to be very accurate to the COT data report, make sure it's backed by a technical analysis or anything of that sort. Okay, so just be cautious about it. Don't just trade off the COT data report. And I'll also leave the link in the description below of this website, so that after watching this video, if you want to check this website out, you can just go into the description below and just click there on the link, so you can also implement this COT data report in your trading. So when you come to this website, you can see currencies, grains, I mean all the other stuffs here on this website. And for you to easily understand how to use the COT data report, I'll take you through a trade I took this week, I mean on gold, and also I'll compare it with what the COT data report also the report that came last week Friday. I'll compare it with it, and you see how I was able to use the report that came last week Friday to actually enter a trade this week on gold. Okay, so let's first start analyzing the setup I have on gold. This is the setup I took on gold this week. You can see it went all the way to hit my take profit. So let me just start on the monthly time frame, do a quick top-down analysis with you, so that you also get to see how I actually anticipated this move. Okay, so on the monthly time frame, what we can see on the monthly time frame is an impulse correction, and from here we are expecting another impulse. Okay, and from here we are expecting another impulse. Okay, so previously, before I saw this move, the market hadn't gotten to this zone right here yet. Okay, it was still around this zone. Okay, so what I realized was even though the market has formed an impulse correction, and from here I'm expecting another impulse, the market is trying to come all the way down here to form something like a double bottom from here before price starts pushing to the upside. Okay, and it's even much clearer when you switch to your line charts. You see that price is coming all the way down to this region, which is very, very strong. Let me take my my brush stuffs off. You can see price is coming all the way back to this region to retest this zone. Okay, but last week when I saw this setup, it wasn't close to this zone yet. It was around this zone right here. So I knew that even though the overall bias on the monthly time frame was a buy, because you can see this impulse correction impulse right here. I was expecting price to continue going to the downside to at least retest this zone before any continuation to the upside. And you see that I got confidence that price was going to shoot to the downside because of what the COT report also said. Okay, and after the analysis, you also get to understand why I was expecting more continuation to the downside. Okay, so on the monthly time frame, everything is bullish. You can see when you use a Fibonacci tool to measure the impulse all the way to the upside, you can see that price has retraced exactly on the 0.5 Fibonacci level. So from here, you can easily expect price to continue going to the upside. Let's see on the weekly. What do we have on the weekly? So on the weekly, you can see things are much clearer on the weekly. On the weekly, you can see things are much clearer on the weekly. You can see something like, firstly, what you can see is something like an impulse correction impulse, like we said on the monthly time frame. Okay, so this week earlier before the week started, price was around this region. Price was around this region right here. Okay, price last weekend we closed below this previous support here. So I was expecting price to retest, and from here price continue going to the downside to come to this region, and from here that is from here that I was expecting more continuation to the upside, so that the overall long-term move on gold is a buy for me. But last week when I came and I saw price retesting to this previous zone that got broken impulsively and now retesting, I saw that okay, then since price is retesting to a previous support that got broken, then from here there's a possibility that price can continue going to the downside to retest this region right here before any continuation to the upside, because our monthly time frame price was very, very bullish. But on the weekly, we saw price retesting to a strong level of support right here. So from here, I was expecting price to go down before any continuation to the upside. So now let's go on the daily and let's see what we have on the daily too. Now, when I came on the daily, what I saw on the daily was price had formed something like an M formation. Okay, an M formation came all the way back to test the neckline. So from here, I was expecting price to continue pushing to the downside. So you can see that price we had by monthly bullish, weekly bearish, and daily bearish. Okay, and let me just explain this information that I just made here. This is a pattern that I mostly speak about. I mean, to the members in the trade starting community. I mean, everywhere, anyone that I make an analysis with, I talk about the information and the W information. Even in my previous videos, if you haven't watched some of my analysis videos that I've posted on my YouTube channel, just check it out and you see me talking about this information and this W information. And generally, when you see an information like this, you're expecting price to do what? You're expecting price to push all the way back to the neckline, and from here, we're expecting price to push all the way to the downside. And it's vice versa. That's the same way whenever we see a W formation, we're expecting price to do what? To come all the way down to test the neckline, and from here, expecting price to do what? To push to the upside. So this is a pattern that I do what? I use a lot whenever I'm trading. So when I came on the daily time frame, okay, when I came on the daily time frame, I saw price forming an M formation right here, and price coming all the way back to test the neckline. So from here, I was expecting price to do what? To push the downside, and that's exactly what happened. What happened on this good setup that I have right here. Okay, and this is a trade I took on the 4-hour, a very no-brainer trade that went all the way to hit my take profit. But let me just take you to the COT report, okay? Because last week I was still monitoring this trade. After last week, I think price was around this zone right here. Price was around my neckline. I told you on the daily. So from here, I was expecting price to shoot all the way to the downside, but I wasn't confident in this trade yet because I was waiting for last week's report to drop before I get any confidence that the price is really going to go all the way to the downside for me to get a trade opportunity on gold. So let me just open gold. Okay, let me just show you guys this real quick. When you come to the trading star website. Okay, you have, especially assuming if you want to open gold like this, we have the quote legacy and we have the quote. Okay, basically they are all the same thing, but some are detailed than the other. When you come to the quotes, you have the producer, merchants, producer, whatever we have here. We have the swap dealers, we have the manage money. You know, they are all, it's the same thing like the commercial, non-commercial, and non-reportable traders. Okay, they are all the same thing, but it seems this one is much detailed. But I don't make much use of this one like the quote legacy. So when you come to the quote legacy, you can clearly see we have our non-commercials here, we have our commercials, and we have our non-reportable right here too. And like I said earlier on, the non-commercials are the large speculators in the market, and the commercials are the big banks, you know, the large multinational corporations, and the non-reportable to be the retail traders and the leverage players. Okay, but I pay much attention whenever I come to the coast legacy. I pay much attention to the non-commercials, even though I look at how the commercials are positioning themselves, but I pay much attention to the non-commercials. You know, I pay much attention to the non-commercials because they are the moves that are, you know, happening recently on the market. Even though the non-commercials are also important, but they are more of a long-term moves. Okay, but the non-commercials are the recent moves that you can see that is actually happening right on the market. Okay, so when you come here, we have our shorts. Sorry, we have our long, we have our shorts, we have our spread, and under the commercials, you have the same thing, long short, and I mean the same thing right here. But we don't really care about the spread. What we really care about in this case is the number of longs and number of shorts and the percentage wise right here. That is what we only care about. So you can see clearly on gold. Previously we had 309,326 226 longs on gold, and we had 27,919 shorts. Okay, so clearly we had more longs than shorts. Okay, that was last 2 weeks. Last 2 weeks we had more longs than shorts. Okay, and last week report that came, we saw that the big banks, you see, this is the changes. Okay, so this is a report right here, and this is the changes. If there's any changes, this is where the changes normally comes. Okay, so previously we had more longs than shorts. As you can see with the difference in the digit here, we had more longs than shorts. And last week report that came showed that the big banks were closing a lot of longs and they are beginning to add a lot of shorts. Okay, so you can see we had minus 5,026 longs being closed, and they added 693 shorts being added. Okay, so you can see that we already had a lot of longs than shorts. And the rest, and the last week report that came showed that the big banks and let's say the non-commercials are beginning to close a lot of longs, and they're beginning to add a lot of shorts. I hope I'm making sense. So you can see that there was a shift that was going on. And if you remember the analysis I did with you on gold, let me go back to gold. If you remember the analysis I did with you on gold, I told you guys that because of the we having a weekly bearish and a daily bearish, I was expecting gold, even though the overall momentum on gold was buy, but because we're having a weekly bearish and a daily bearish, I was expecting price to do it, to move down to this region right here before I expect any continuation to the upside. So you know, I had a very beautiful sell setup. So when I saw the big banks, you know, coming, releasing a report where we had the banks closing a lot of longs and are beginning to add a lot of short, I became very confident. I realized that this week might be very, very bearish on gold because of how the big banks are beginning to shift from closing a lot of longs and beginning to add a lot of short. I hope I'm making sense, and how easy you can use the COT report as a confluence to whatever strategy that you are using. You understand what I'm trying to say? So assuming you're having a sell setup on a Euro USD, or a sell by a buy setup on gold or anything of that sort, especially on a Friday night or on the weekend, after you are done analyzing the market on the weekend and you have a buy setup on gold, like I was saying earlier on, just go to COT report and check. Okay, because you being a retail trader, you don't have enough money to move the market. These people, the non-commercials and the commercials, are the people who have the money to actually manipulate and move the market in a direction. So you being a retail trader, you don't have to try and trade against them. Just look at how they are positioning themselves. Like you see how I was able to analyze gold, and I was having a very nice sell setup. And when the reports of the COT report came, they were also shifting from longs and beginning to add shorts on gold. I got confident, and I didn't hesitate when I was about making an entry on gold. Okay, I didn't hesitate at all. I just entered the trade because I was confident that, okay, after all, I'm making 1% of my account and I know what the big banks are also doing. So if I lose, I'm fine. But I was still confident that this trade is going to play out well because the setup was all right. Everything showed, I mean, all the criteria that I go through for me to get a full confirmation on trade, everything was set. So I was just waiting for the big banks to do what? To just see how they are also behaving. And when the report came and I saw that they are closing a lot of longs and I've been using a lot of short, damn, I didn't hesitate at all. I just, when the week opened and I saw my entry presenting itself, I just entered the trade, and you can see how the trade did what. You can see how the trade played out beautifully. 32 risk reward trade. You can see how I got almost 570 pip on this trade. Very, very sweet and nice trade I took here. So you can see how effective the COT Data Report is. Okay, these people, then the non-commercials and the commercials, there are people who move the market. Okay, they are the people who invest trillions of dollars in the market and are able to move the market in a particular direction. So you being a retail trader, you have to do a trade alongside with them. When you check what they are doing and how they are positioning themselves, then you know how to trade. Okay, so let me just take you through one last example before we bring this session to an end. Okay, so assuming me having this self setup here last week, and the report came, and you see that the big banks, they were closing a lot of longs and also closing a lot of shorts. What I would have done in this situation, because they can be a situation, you can see the commercials right here. You can see the commercials, they were closing a lot of longs and also closing a lot of short. Okay, so in a situation where I would have seen that the non-commercials are also closing a lot of longs and also closing a lot of short, in this case, I won't completely reject my setup. Okay, I won't completely reject my setup, but I'll still keep an eye on my setup. But I won't be as much confident like I'll be if I would have been on the side of the big banks. Well, if the big banks had clearly shown where they are pushing themselves, that is when I would have had confidence going into this setup. But where in a situation where they are not really clear, they are closing both longs and closing shorts, or even adding longs and adding shorts, you can see in the situation you don't have the position very clearly. So you just have to be careful in that situation, so that I'm not saying whenever you see that, just reject your setup. Okay, sometimes you see that you have a self setup, when you check the COT Data Reports, they are closing, assuming this self setup I showed you guys, they are closing both longs and closing shorts. The setup will still play out like I'm anticipating. Okay, so that you don't have to completely reject your setup. Just still keep your eyes on them. It might play out, it might also not play out, but it becomes more confirmed when you have a clear shift of direction in this kind of situation, where you have the big players closing a lot of longs and adding beginning to add a lot of shorts on this kind of situation. This is the kind of situation when you have this kind of a situation, and you have a very nice setup which is also in alignment with what the big players are doing. Then you don't have to hesitate at all. You just have to act, because you have your technical aspect. Everything is satisfied on the technical aspect, and everything is also satisfied in the COT Data Reports. Then you just go straight into your trade. So I hope I'm making sense. If you don't understand anything, just leave a comment below, and I will explain further with the code, with anything that you don't understand concerning the COT Data Report. Okay. So I would advise everyone to just start using the COT Data Report, because it's very, very effective when you use it, and when you continue to use it and understand it properly. Trust me, guys, you begin to see that you are beginning to have an edge over the market whenever you have a very good setup, and you see that the big banks are also supporting your trade. Then you are very confident that you can fully go into the trade. Okay. So, but if you want to learn more about the COT Data Report, YouTube is a very good platform for me this generation. You can continue searching about the COT Data Report. Even apart from watching my video, continue watching more videos on COT Data Report, or even specifically videos on the trading star. Okay, the trading star. Continue watching videos on how to interpret information on this website, so that you continue to broaden your horizon concerning how to understand and interpret the COT Data Report whenever you come to this website. Okay, thank you for sticking to the end of this video. I hope you learned something from watching this video. I'll also leave the link to this website in the description below, so after watching this video you can go check it out. That is if you want to learn more about the COT Data Report. If anyone is having any topic that you'd like me to cover on this channel, just leave a comment below, and I'll go through and I'll cover that topic for you. And as always, Just remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the bell notification. So whenever I post educative content like this, you will be notified as fast as possible. See you in the next one.